So good morning everybody, welcome to the breakfast show. It happens once a month, the last Friday of every month. This means it's the end of July and we're almost in August. While we're connecting and get to say hello, I'm going to check on my technology that's not working well, certainly not as well as Mike is making pancakes. So looking forward to being able to share a cup of coffee with you and a conversation. Here's how it'll work over the next 25 minutes or so. We're going to chat about gatherings, we're going to chat about groups, we're going to chat about this coming Sunday. We're going to talk about vaccines and whether they're a good idea, and we're going to talk about what a post-pandemic church life looks like. And then at 7 o'clock, I'll do my usual devotion. So good morning, everybody. Would you all like to say hello?
Hello, Pastor George.
Good morning, everyone. Hello.
I'm going to try not to embarrass myself there.
Mike can tell us how his pancake efforts are going, while I take a moment to say hello to everybody online. We are in fact going to be eating some of these pancakes. Now, let me say hello to everybody who's just connected. Please forgive me if you've already commented. I couldn't see them until a few seconds ago. So Derek is in Karicha. Good morning, Jameson family. Hello, Dean, who's in my house. Guaita, good morning to you. Also saying hello to somebody in J-Bay. Francois, good morning. Lovely to see you. Tracy Jerry is in Joburg. Tracy's saying hello to you, Mala.
Morning, Trace.
Nice to see you. Azola, good morning. Ayanda, good morning. VIP, also online. When do you leave to travel overseas? Shayla, good morning. Nice to see you. Monique is in Cape Town. Barbara is in the house. Jenny Collier.
Oh, Mom, thanks for teaching me how to make pancakes.
Michael, is it true that you had made your first pancake last night?
That is correct.
That is correct, isn't it?
And now I'm doing it live on Facebook and YouTube.
So we're just taking a moment to let all of you connect on all our platforms. If you did say hello in the first minute, you're welcome to say hello again. We have Emily here too. If you have someone here you don't recognize, this is Emily Swanepoel, not related to Vincent and Cherie Swanepoel, but Emily is Ryan saying hello from Plet. Emily is a long-time PE person and he knows more about pancakes, it seems, than Mike, so you'll see the hands giving instructions. But Emily has taken on Alzaan's role in Kids Church. Alzaan has taken on a role at Theodore Herzl as a therapist counselor. And so there's been a transition of responsibility. So I've got Emily here to tell us a little bit about Kids Church. You want to say hello, Emily, just as you take a sip of cappuccino?
Hello. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here.
Is it true that you have a connection to a bakery?
It is very true.
I
would say baking is in my blood. Westies, if you know it. My grandmother started back in the 70s and has been running in the family since then. So I would say I know a bit more about pancakes than Michael.
Makes me question the logic of me.
See, she was literally trying not to say something while watching you make a pizza.
There's a lot of anxiety. There's way too much anxiety. I see Tabo is there. Quinana, good morning, Tabo. Trust you're well. Good morning, Krista in Bloemfontein. Very nice to see you, Liz. Great to see. Vincent Cherie says hello. Your wife, of course.
And Vida Nova
saying hello to the kids. So really great to have everybody connected. Well, we are ready to have a how's the pancake, everybody? How's it going? Good. We're ready to have a conversation about gatherings. So if you don't know this, we are gathering on all our in-person locations as well as the usual online, but we're gathering in person this Sunday with a limit of 50 people, and what the future looks like after this pandemic eventually comes to an end. So this is your opportunity. Ask away. Put me on the spot. Ask questions. Make this difficult. But let's answer some of the tough questions. So
So we're gathering on Sunday. How are you feeling about the restrictions? We're very grateful we can gather, but there's obviously restrictions in place. How are you feeling about that?
It's a good question and a tough answer, because I get why there are restrictions, and I get that we're not past.
Yeah.
But I'm also acknowledging that some people have made a choice that they will never vaccinate, and we can't wait for everybody. And others have been vaccinated, and so each lockdown isn't the same as the previous lockdowns. We also have a really strange situation in PE, where we have a 3,000-seater venue, we put 50 people in there, and then you have an overflow venue that only seats 100, you put another 50 people in there, and they don't feel as safe actually as if they were in the big one. And then you've got the tension of like other venues doing other things. So we'll comply within reason, and I think the within reason part is to really put pressure on people, on government too, that if we've been vaccinated and are willing to wear a mask, sanitize, then I think we should be able to gather. I think we should be able to gather.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's important that we get started somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to rebuild somewhere. How are you guys feeling about gathering and what that looks like?
I think I was thinking about it this morning that a church gathering is like one of the little bites that we get to live on earth that is very much like heaven.
Yeah.
Which is people joyous celebration based on the foundation of worship and the word, which is Jesus. So I think we've missed that slice of heaven. I think online is superb and great, and it must continue going. And we love having our family online, but there's nothing quite like seeing somebody in person and worshiping together and saying hello, you know, and having like showing your affection for real. So I think just that person to person, face to face affection. I think we really do miss that. It's part of what. And
there are soft needs that humanity has. Spiritual, psychological, emotional needs that aren't being met in lockdown. And there's going to be a lot of study, I'm sure, after lockdown on the effect of being in lockdown for kids and what that has meant. A year or two of your life when you're 4 or 5 years old is a big chunk of your life. And whether that has created anxiety around socializing, anxiety around integration in society and what that looks like. I get that comes second to life and death pandemic. But we still have to address those needs. They're just simply being pushed back to later. But they're going to have to be addressed at some point. And then there's the spiritual side. What happens to a nation when its moral integrity and spiritual integrity gets locked behind closed doors? And there are thousands of years of history of what happens to humanity when that happens. And so, the church is not optional. We consider church and everything it contributes to life as essential. Now, you can do a lot of that online. You definitely can do a lot of that online. But there's gathering where you can look someone in the eye and recognize they're not in a good space. And I can't do that online. Unless you type in the comments and say, geez, I'm not in a good space, I can't walk past you and go, not quite your usual smiley self, and take a minute and look you in the eye and say, God loves you. What's going on? Can I pray a prayer? That's all gone. And so you have to initiate if you're online so we can respond. And that's not everybody is a good initiator. Some people get shy, some people get insecure, some people are so hurt that even typing something in a public forum or whatever, it's just too much for them, It's just too much.
We've had to learn the skill of encouraging, praying for people over the phone so much more now. But I realized, like speaking on the phone to a few people, maybe if you can help Pastor George with some of the language that you've given us about just advice on vaccines, whether to get one or not to get one. Maybe, you gave us some good advice on Tuesday. Maybe if you want to share some of that.
What did I say?
Unless...
Are we talking about the HIV/AIDS conversation?
Maybe some of that, but also something that really helped me in the week in a conversation with somebody who could have been vaccinated with a 60 plus already. When I said unless God says no.
100%. 100%.
And then I also encouraging people to pray about it.
The fact is, I was going to ask you, Mel, to get it for me, but it's okay. I've got medicine in the drawer there that I take every day, so I don't have a functioning thyroid. So I take Altroxin and a thing called Finpisha, which is supposed to keep my hair in my head. Which is a consequence of having no thyroid. Anyway, the point is, you open up the little leaflet and there's risks.
Yeah.
Every medicine we take has risks. Now, the way those risks were written down is because there were people who had a negative reaction and in some cases death. But we don't say medicine is a bad idea. We just have a confidence we won't be one of those affected. We say, well, 99% of people are fine, and if they aren't fine, we'll come up with an alternative, or we'll medicate the other problem, whatever. So there's that. The other thing that's important to me on that is something we went through in society, in church life, not so long ago, in my leadership lifetime. The church faced HIV/AIDS. And when it first revealed itself, it was the whole thing, where did it come from? Is it from monkeys and contaminated blood? Then it was the whole religious thing, is it God judging the world for alternative lifestyles? Then it was the whole thing of, is it safe to use public bathrooms? What about communion and touching communion? That's how communion came in these prepackaged things. And then the stats were like a third of Africa will pass away from HIV/AIDS. Most people will be in child-headed homes. Everything got pumped up and excited. Should you play rugby? Blood. We had to include things in our society before. We don't have a cure for COVID.
Yeah.
So we've got to recognize that we can't wait for a cure either to go on with life. Yeah. What we have is something of a vaccine and something of a precaution. And we use that until we have it, but it's in life now. It's here. It's here to stay for the foreseeable future. And so, you've got to think about that and recognize, there's no date when it's gone. So it's here in a similar way in which HIV and AIDS is currently. There's no cure. There's management. There's lifestyle considerations now, and there's certain adjustments church made. Communion and all that is no longer, praise the Lord, in a goblet. You know what I mean? So I think one has to be respectful that is one of those, and it's not the first one ever. It's the second one in my lifetime, and I'm 12. Okay, not really. And so I think I'm taking it. Now, the one caveat, the one thing that makes people anxious about vaccines is DNA modification. And my personal view there is what I went through with my family. When my dad was passing away from COVID, we Googled everything. Is there a way I can donate a lung? Is there a 3D printable lung? Is there a mechanical lung that is already on the market, which there is, by the way, that can filter? The problem is, if you've got fever and are sick, doctors don't do operations. So you can't do anything. You're so... Let me put it to you this way. If you've got a child who's in a hospital dying of something, and the doctor says to you, I've got a treatment, but it's experimental. But there's a 50% chance. Who here would say, I'm doing it?
Yeah, for sure.
100%, right? Yeah. And if I say to you, it's even a 30% chance, but the alternative is death.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? I'll do it. So now you've got something, it might be experimental, but it's 99%. So I had to own that moment and just realize that's what I would have done with my dad. I would have done it. There was no question in my mind. And so, I get that that's personal. I totally get that that's personal, So gatherings are starting now with a different view than the past. Now we're starting gatherings with the view that we're here to stay. Do you know what I mean? And keep going. And what I'm going to just push for is, if you've been vaccinated and feel safe, I can't see why we should close again. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. And I hope government agrees with me. That sounds wrong, doesn't it?
We've got the month.
Giving them a month.
Pastor George, we've seen in Europe vaccine cards allowing access to places. Do you think that'll happen in South Africa?
I'm not sure the South African population will take to that. And in some places in the world, there's already protests to that, because it makes you reveal your position. And we actually made it illegal in South Africa to be forced to reveal your HIV/AIDS status, for instance, because there's potential consequence on your employment, etc., etc. So I doubt that it'll get to a point where it's compulsory. But you must remember that a mall is a public place with rights reserved. The owner of the mall can say, I don't allow you to come. That's not a government legislated thing. That's just the owner of the restaurant or the owner of the mall or the leader of a church can say, in our space, you have rights of admission reserved in these places. If you behave in a way that is contrary to what is acceptable behavior in my space or my mall or my whatever, I can say, hey, you're not welcome anymore. So that we don't know. And I think that we must put more power in the hands of individuals. So that's what I'm all about at the moment. Like, give people a choice. Get vaccinated and start going to church. Don't get vaccinated, own the risk and start going to church. And stop making it like government's problem to work out what your risk profile is and then make the decision for you because they think you don't want to make the decision. Like, that's what I'm more for. You know, you have to own your own decision. If you say, well, I don't want to be vaccinated, I do want to go to church, if I pick something up and I pass it on, I'll own that, you know, which is quite scary, but I'll own it. And I think that's where I'm at. And, you know, so, yeah, I get my second shot today. But today is my 40 days, 40 whatever days. And then, and then my whole family is. So one of my selfish sort of reasonings is that I'd like to get to Cyprus and do the graveside burial of my father. And we heard and know that unless you're vaccinated, you're probably not traveling. And you know, I have an EU passport. So I'm actually allowed to go now if I'm vaccinated on the basis of that. And I wasn't going to delay burying him. It's already an uncomfortable thing that we haven't completed the funeral. So I'd like to get it done, you know, get to go with my family and go to graveside and bury him on the plot he purchased for that purpose with his parents and all of that, you know. So, and I do think that life will go on and we need to do what we can to do it, you know. It's strange that I feel a bit intimidated when there is a social gathering, but I've never felt that when I go to church. Oh, excellent, Tracy, thank you. I think there's truth to that. I do get a certain level of like, I don't know how wise everyone is in this
restaurant
mall or restaurant. Yes, but at church I do feel, you know, we're cautious. We're doing the sanitizing and the temperature reading and all of that. We're far apart. You're there an hour and a bit.
Very ventilated.
Yeah, I mean, especially J-Bay, your venue is virtually outdoors. North End, it's the same. So I do feel, you know, as for me, I'm planning to exclude people who are not vaccinated in my personal plans. That's quite She's getting quite intense about it.
Well, maybe a good thing, like some people might not yet warm up to gathering in larger groups, let's say Sundays, but I think there's a lot of opportunities for people to do something midweek.
What are some of the other opportunities? Because we're kind of relaunching, reimagining the whole church kind of environment.
So Lloyd, so all other sites, it's open.
Yeah.
Just go to church. We don't think the numbers are going to be a problem. In North End, we've started by inviting people who've served in the past. And we know life has changed after 1.5 years. People got married, they had kids, they're not in the same space. So we're going to have to rebuild. But I'm probably not going to say no to anybody who comes to the door for church. So there's my illegal statement. But we are doing a lot of other things, and one of them is groups. So being able to get people together in a smaller setting, still church, but in groups. I think that's exciting. We've got something on in daytime. Vince, you want to talk about that?
Well, we spoke about daytime Bible study, which will start on Thursday, because it's coming next Thursday. I don't know what the date is, 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So it's for people who don't necessarily have time to do something in the evening or join something like a small group or a course in the evening and have some time during the day. We'll be doing a midweek Bible study, some stuff from the Bible Project. We might want to end up having some songs of worship during it. And the 10 to 12 o'clock is not strictly 2 hours of Bible study. There's some coffee and a snack and a bit of a break in between, a bit of socializing. It's really been a win in the last few months. With a specific group of people, and
so it started out as retired people, but we're actually opening it up.
Yes,
because people are more inclined to daytime activity at the moment.
Very much,
than nighttime even.
Yeah,
you know,
very much. And also, I think some people prefer to work at night. I know quite a few of my friends. They've got flexible time during the day, so they either go play golf or go do a thing, see a friend, have coffee, and at nighttime they do all their administrative work. So I think. Please look out for that. So if you have a Thursday 10 to 12, join us from this coming Thursday.
Tabo's just asked a great question. What's happening in Cape Town? Tabo, Queen Anna. Tabo, we've got a church in Cape Town, and there is actually a link. There is a gathering. We've been meeting in Woodstock at the Argyle, which is in town, and at the moment meeting every second Sunday. But we are operating in Cape Town with church, and I stream in the message part 3 out of 4 Sundays. So if you're keen on finding out, pop an email or inbox me, and I'll send you the details. And there's a church in Cape Town, in Uitenhage, Kariga, Jeffreys Bay, and of course in PE. So far, George, I'm looking at you.
Cape Town is meeting this Sunday.
Yes, everybody meeting this Sunday.
That's right.
Emily, Kids
Yes.
Church, on-ramp towards gatherings.
Yes.
And
So we're still doing online at this point, just because of the limited numbers within. Not limited, but
there's a restriction.
there is a restriction.
So realistically, you get 4 or 5 kids,
Exactly.
break them up into age groups.
Exactly.
It's not a program.
Yeah, so this week we're actually with our volunteers coming, hoping to meet with some of our kids' church leaders and connect with them and see where they're at as well. And then hopefully kids' church starting again from September.
Yeah. So if you're keen to volunteer in that space, we're rebooting all our volunteer teams. Some have obviously, life has changed. That's natural. It would have happened with or without a pandemic. You know, people grow. But if you're keen, come along. And that's one of our key things this weekend. Dream team, pray together, eat and coffee together, and then start building again. And I don't see us stopping again. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. And so I think all of those factors are now for consideration. And I'm encouraging people to vaccinate so we can gather. You know, that's the measure government is using. It's level of vaccination and level of infection. So that's the equation. We're going to either play in that space, or we're going to just revolt and say, no, we heard a voice from heaven, and that's what we're doing, you know. And that's what we're doing. So I think that's the next step. So there are a couple of things. So there's the daytime Bible study on a Thursday in PE. There are groups all over the country. Online. If you can't make a location, there's in person. I think we're launching 20 of them soon. So all of those are exciting things. We don't discard gatherings, though. We think the church should gather. And online will always be a gift to us. But we will also want to gather in person and worship, the sound of worship in a nation. I do think that's absolutely essential. And I have a question, actually. We've been on radio and YouTube and Facebook for a while. How many of you would watch it if we were on TV? A little email I got the other day from TBN, and whether we wanted to put our church service on there. So I'd be interested to know what you guys think about that. Yeah, I was surprised by that. So a consideration for you to think about. Just to remind you, we are doing devotion at 7 as the numbers climb. Good morning, Carol in Cape Town, and Nongomsa, good morning to you. Thanks for saying hello, Debbie. 2 Debbies in a row there. Good morning, Jackson. Hello, Jackson. Good morning, Carol T. Elsa's in Cape Town. Nice to see you, Busi. Good morning, Busi. Very nice to see you as well. Helen, are you still in Cape Town, Helen? Lovely to see you online. Veronique, good morning. If people saw what I see in COVID ICU, now Veronique works They would be rushing to get the vaccine. It's simply stop being selfish, she said. I will give you one stat about vaccinations, and I respect people who've said, I'm not comfortable. I'm not beating anybody up. But interesting stat coming out of America, 97% of the people being hospitalized are unvaccinated in a nation of 50% vaccinations.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting, all states are increasing in their numbers at the moment because they've opened up. So it's an interesting stat you've got to think about and factor in. So you're not booking, you can just come. Andrew, yes. Read between the lines. TBN, yes. I can invite my mom to watch that, says Christelle.
He means about the vaccines. You don't have. You can just go anywhere and get it. You don't have to book.
Anthony calling me a TV evangelist, and then the prosperity. Can someone block that guy? Not just block that guy. That's exactly what I don't want to be. Like dripping and bling and trying to tell people Jesus gave it to me. And it's like
I wanted to actually.
So awful.
If you've got
we've got a couple of minutes.
You actually touched on it just now, but what are some of those elements of church that you miss about being in the building again? What are some of those things? You spoke about praying for someone, or just walking past someone that looked a little bit down and offering them a word of encouragement. What are some of the other key elements of that community that you've kind of missed?
On a personal level, I do what I do passionately because Sunday after Sunday, I can physically see people's lives change.
Yeah, that's it.
Coming in, hunched over, sitting in the back, downcast, can't look you in the eye, and a few weeks later, hands raised, and the gospel is working. Now you don't get that from a screen.
Yeah, there's no substitute for that.
You can't. It's just one of those things. And then you watch people start to do life, talk to a person, become a friend. You see they've gone to watch a movie together, and life starts to flourish, an ecosystem of community and health and faith. You can't break bread and eat a meal with someone online. That's just where life happens. And I think I miss that. I mean, I can do a daily devotion the rest of my life. I don't have other commitments. I have 2 pit bulls. I can kick them out and carry on, But it's not fulfilling. It's not as fulfilling as just seeing. They don't even have to tell me. I just have to walk past them every Sunday and see life is coming. It's like water washing over a landscape. It's like, oh, I didn't know those flowers were in the ground there. Look, everything's coming up. I miss that.
It's those environments of corporate worship, I guess, as well, that you just feel so encouraged.
I was just going to say that. I think a lot of people are keen.
And I also think there's the sound of everything else. There's the sound of economic activity, positive and negative. There's the sound of protest, positive and negative. There's the sound of social and sport, good or bad. You have to have the sound of worship.
Which is just good.
You can't take that away. You know what I mean? It's just good.
Positive and positive.
Positive and positive. You can't take the sound of the gospel out of the sounds of the world. It starts to scratch your ears. All you get is the stuff. And one of the things I'm passionate about is good news gospel. I don't want to get into conspiracies. I mean, I'm a bit disappointed, if I can be honest. I've got a minute or two. I'm a bit disappointed in some parts of Christianity at the moment. I know that sounds horrible to say, but we're acting like God stopped being God once the pandemic started. And he's like, he's freaked out, so we must be freaked out. And what is happening? And he remains my king, king of the world, and I have the same peace I had before this all started, and I have the same confidence he's got a plan. This too shall pass. We're supposed to be the stable factors here. We're supposed to tell people in the world, hey, cut that out. You're taking it too far now. I still made a joke with a friend who said to me, I'll never get the vaccine. They put a chip in you. And he was wearing an Apple Watch. I mean, that's a chip. Take the watch off, throw it away. Show me you mean what you say. So the point I'm saying is let's not freak out. We're supposed to be the source of joy. We're supposed to be the confidence builders in our world. And now more than ever, everybody's looking for a bit of that. I mean, I get to wake up every day and watch the sunrise over the ocean. Wow, come on, guys, you got to have a look at that and see. Vince refuses to see it. And so I don't know if you guys have anything else you wanted to ask. And then we're going to segue in a minute or two into devotions. So anything else? So Mike, how are those pancakes? Am I I'll taste one of your pancakes. I'll taste
making them.
I do like. Let me see what's in this cupboard
One
here.
bite of this one. This one's cold.
I do like. Is there cinnamon sugar in here?
There is. Yeah.
I have to. You see, I feel that it requires lemon. I do. So
Do all of them require lemon?
A cinnamon sugar pancake.
Thanks, Vince. Okay, for that, Vince, you have to close this out. So what else do you have to say in the remaining 30 seconds? Go.
Okay. Well, I look forward to gathering. I think that, like I said earlier, it feels like that little piece of heaven that we've been missing. But I thought while you were speaking about the scripture, greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. And it does feel like that we're not under a dark cloud. If there is one, we are even above it, and whatever is in us is greater than that thing. And it should come into submission in some form. It doesn't mean it goes away. It has to come into submission to the word of God. And also just the fragrance of worship is so lovely on Sunday. I really can't wait for that.
Sure. And I think if we're wise, we'll realize this is the greatest moment for the church in our lifetime. Just watch how we behave now. Let's not fall into the same pattern as everybody else. Just watch how we behave.
Yeah, great.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's It's been a great joy spending a morning with you.
So good.
Not frozen alone in the warehouse, but a warming conversation with you.